Welcome to English Without Limits. In our last lesson, we learned about adverbs that tell us how something was done. Today, we're going to learn other adverbs. These are adverbs that tell us when something was done, why something was done, and under what conditions it was done. Adverbs do many things for us. They give us a lot of information. I hope you enjoy today's lesson. You remember in our last lesson we learned about adverbs of manner. These are the words that tell us how something was done. An adverb describes a verb. It describes the action and tells us how it was done. We had words like quickly, roughly, softly, slowly. And these words tell us a lot about how things are done. Well, let's join the class as they begin to review this.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Good. You're all good? You're bad. No, you're doing great. You all look great and you're all awake, ready for another class. So what we're going to do first is we're going to review what we learned last class. Last class, we were learning about adverbs, if you recall, and we were learning about a certain kind of adverbs. Adverbs that tell how something happens, right?
Describes verbs.
That's right. That's right. Adverbs describe verbs. Okay. So they describe verbs, which is most times an action. Very good. So we were answering the question of how. And remember, we were using some of these words. Let's just say these words together. Cheerful, quick, gentle, quiet, slow,
Low, drum,
soft. Very good. Now, all of these words, before we add the special ending onto them that we're going to add, all of these words are what we call adjectives. Okay? So, I'm going to write that word out. Now, adjectives, we've looked at adjectives before. Remember, adjectives are words that describe nouns. So, the cheerful boy, right? The quiet mouse. The loud band, right? That was in our exercise yesterday. Good. Very good. But watch what happens. When I take an adjective and I add the suffix ly, I'm going to get an adverb. Okay, so watch this. Slow becomes slowly. So what if I said the slow car? The slow car drove on the road. Or now, watch this, I'm going to change the meaning. I'm going to say the car drove slowly. It tells us how the car drove, right? So remember, these adverbs, most of which end in ly, tell us how. Not all of them. There are many that do not end in ly also. But those are the ones we reviewed. So, let's look at this word, gently. Who wants to use that in a sentence for me? Gently.
You talk gently.
Pardon?
You talk gently.
I talk gently. Very good. That's a good thing. Okay, and let's try one more. Let's do quietly. Who can make a sentence with quietly?
In the library, we must be quietly.
Almost. In the library, we must talk quietly. Right? Remember, it's telling how we do the action. Very good. So those are adverbs that tell us how. How are we talking in the library? Quietly. How was the car driving down the road? Slowly. How am I speaking? Gently. Very good. Excellent job.
Let's review some of these rules for adverbs again. Most of the time, we take an adjective, add ly, and it becomes an adverb. Many of our adverbs are formed this way. And as we said before, if you have a word that ends in ly, most of the time it's an adverb. Not always, but most of the time. And remember that there were some words that spelled things a little bit differently. So let's review quickly what those rules are for the spelling changes. Number 1, if the adjective ends in a consonant, just add ly. So quick becomes quickly. Second, if the adjective ends in le, drop the e and add y. So gentle becomes gently. Third, if the adjective ends in l, like beautiful, then just add ly so that beautiful becomes beautifully, but you have 2 l's. And fourth, if the adjective has 2 syllables and ends in y, change the y to I before you add ly. Then happy becomes happily. And remember that there are some exceptions where the adverb and the adjective are the same, words like fast or early, and some where the adjective already ends in ly, like leisurely, so we don't change it. We use a phrase instead. I hope this makes things a little more clear for you. Some adverbs tell us how things were done, but there are many more adverbs and they tell us other things. Some of the things they tell us is they tell us when something happened, why something happened, or under what conditions it was done. So we can take a sentence like, I went fishing, and we can tell when it happened. We can say, I went fishing yesterday. Or we can say why it happened. We can say, I went fishing because I was hungry. Or we can say under what conditions it happened. I went fishing in the rain. Now, sometimes the adverb is a single word. Sometimes it's a group of words. A group of words can be a phrase or a clause. And so some of our adverbs are one word, some of them are a group of words that act together as if they were a single adverb. This can be a little bit confusing, but I hope it will become more clear as this lesson and other lessons go on. So let's join the class as they begin to learn about adverbs that tell us when, why, or under what conditions something was done.
So you are going to be excited because we're going to learn some more about adverbs. There are many adverbs, many different kinds of adverbs, and so today we're going to look at 3 other kinds of adverbs. So we've already learned adverbs that tell us how. Today we're going to look at adverbs that tell us why, adverbs that tell us when, and adverbs that tell us under what conditions something is happening. So let's take a peek. All right. How, when, why, and under what conditions. So let's look at some adverbs that tell us when. These answer the question when in a sentence. So there are words that we use in sentences like we say, will you come over tomorrow? Will you be here tomorrow? Yes. That's right, that tells us when. Also, later and early. We will be at class early tomorrow to play some games, right? And now we also have adverbs that answer the question why. And some of those ones are easy. We use the word because very often. The word since also works like that. Let me ask you a question like that. Dimitri, Why will you clean your room?
Because
I will clean my room because...
I will clean my room because I want to clean my room.
Oh, you will. Probably because your mother and father asked you to, right?
Because my
I
mom
want
said.
to clean.
Because why?
Because mom said.
Because mom said, that's right. So it's easy to know that we need to use because when we're answering the question why. So we'll look at some examples later. Now we have under what conditions. Some adverbs show us what conditions things take place in. And those ones are like the word if. So, Misha, will you go and spend some time at Dima's house? I want you to try to use if in your answer. I will go if.
I will go if Dima's house.
If why? If your parents say it's okay? Do you have to ask your mom and dad before you can go to Dima's?
Yes.
Yes. So I will go to Dima's if my parents say that I am able to, right? So there's our condition. We have to meet a certain condition to do that. That's good. So let's put these in order. I want you just to tell me from right here. Tell me from here which ones answer what questions. So let's look at when. What adverbs answer when? Who can tell me? Tomorrow. Oh, there's more like that. Later. Very good. Early. What about yesterday? Yeah, it does. Yesterday.
After yesterday.
You can use them.
When can we use then? Let's see. Let's try it in a sentence. We'll check this one. Will you come over then? Does it work? Well, maybe if I said to you, if you said to me, would you like to come over? And I said, well, I have to clean my room. I can't go anywhere until that's finished. And you might say, well, will you come over then? After it's done? Oh, yes. So the word then, we can leave it. We can add it. Okay, let's try why. Words like why, that answer why. Because. Since. That's that word since.
Instead of.
Pardon?
Instead of.
Say that again.
Instead of.
Instead of? Why? Let's write that one down. Instead of. Does that tell us why? Will you come to my house? And I say, I will not come to your house instead of. No, that doesn't even work, that sentence, does it? You know what? Instead of is not answering why, right? It's telling us more details than that, okay? But that's a very good suggestion. Now let's look at conditions. We only had one written down for conditions, and I'm going to show you later. We're going to add more words, but we need to learn the basic ones first. So I'm going to answer my own question. If tells us a condition. Very good. Let's look at some examples. I'm going to write down some sentences, and I want you to tell me what question they're answering. So let's look at the first sentence. I will come over tomorrow. What does this answer? So, when will you come over? Tomorrow. Very good. So what is our adverb? Tomorrow. It's telling us when I will come, right? When I will do this action. Okay? Let's try another one. Who would like to read that sentence out? what's it answering?
It's gone. When? It's gone.
When is my mother coming?
Later.
Later. Very good. You guys got that. Excellent job. We're going to
Adverbs come in many different forms in English, and they can do a lot of different things. Adverbs can be a bit confusing because of this, but let's see if we can make things a little more clear. Some of our adverbs tell us when something happened, the time that it happened, or how often it happened. So we have adverbs like daily, which means every day, or sometimes even every day. These tell us when something happened. Or other adverbs that tell us when are words like often or frequently. These mean it happens a lot. Or then we have things that don't happen very often. So we have adverbs like rarely or seldom. So I could say, I go fishing daily, meaning I do it every day. I go fishing often, which means quite frequently. Or I rarely go fishing, which means I don't go very much at all. Now sometimes instead of a single word, we have a group of words, a phrase or a clause. So I can say, I will come after school. And that phrase after school acts like an adverb. A group of words acts like a single adverb. Or I can say, I will come when I wake up. Or I will come before supper. Now, when we are talking about adverbs that tell us why something happens, most of the time we use a phrase instead of a single word. So if I say, I was running, then if I want to tell you why I was running, I would use a phrase, a group of words, or a clause. I would say, I was running to catch a bus. That tells you the reason why I was running. Or I was running because I was late. Or I can say, I brushed my teeth because they were dirty. So when we're saying why something happened, usually we use a phrase or a clause, a group of words. Now, if we want to express the conditions under which something happened, the conditions, then again, we usually use a phrase instead of a single word. So if I say, I went fishing, and I want to tell you what it was like, maybe it was very nice, maybe it was not so nice. I would use a phrase like, I went fishing in the rain. That phrase, in the rain, is the adverbial phrase. So going fishing in the rain was not very nice.